Okay, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is. I hope it's good to be where you are because it is certainly good to be here. My name is Baltimore Fats and this is Mud City. All right. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today. I think I have a fun presentation for us. Oh, let me get my timer going. Can't forget that. I'm going to try to be better about the timer. I think it's important not to have shows that go on forever. um, so, a little bit about me that you guys wouldn't really know is that I'm a record collector. Right? So on the weekends, I like to go to different record shops around town, and while picking through the racks, I found this one. I didn't buy this record, but this image, I'm going to go back and buy it, especially after I look back up through my photos of the day. Because I just kind of looked at it quickly, saw it was, radio broadcast, but I was really stricken by this, or really struck rather, is that proper grammar, by this image. And so I took a picture of it, and I wanted to find out more about this record, and so yes, now I will go back and buy this record, especially after it inspired this presentation I'm about to do. So I don't know about any of you looking at this thing, but I'm really not seeing a radio here. I'm not seeing a radio at all. One thing about it is, I kind of spoiled it there because I'm not slick. I saw this feature, it made me think of church windows, right? And features like this. It's the same kind of pattern. And I did, I'm just using pictures that I have quick in my phone. But I did do a quick web search and I could find, this sort of clovery, I could find windows like that. They're out there. And I like this. It's got the eye in there and all this weird glow, right? Inner sanctum. Just sounds awesome, right? I got to figure out what was going on in the inner sanctum. Maybe I'll even get over there today. I'm kicking myself for passing on it, but I'm glad I took the picture. So I started to think about old radios, right? Looking at this old radio, and then when I thought about this pattern that I see in the windows, and I think about the idea that these churches were creating, some form of frequency, magnetic wave or radio frequency or some sort of, I can't think of the word I want to say right now, but that's what those churches were doing, right? That's the theory that's out there, right? And when I saw this, it was definitely, and I had made a new friend over at the start of the weekend. Hello, Mary. I know you're listening. And she and I, she has offered to help me, and I'm going to accept that offer, and we are going to really, really scour the streets of Baltimore, and we're going to get to it. But we were talking about, music and this, how, the frequencies that are in the air and how they affect us, right? And she mentioned that she was a music lover and that she no longer wants to listen to music because she, feels it interferes with her too much, and so I don't feel that. I mean, I know what it's doing, but I'm too far. I'm too deep. I played in a band for many years, and but so when I started to think about that, when I saw that picture yesterday, going through my pictures of the weekend, and I started to think about the churches. I started to think about old radios and how the radio frequency, and that's how really when everything starts, it all sort of coalesces, and that's my new favorite word, at the same sort of time window. And so I'm just going to do a super quick slideshow, and then we're going to go into the history of radio. So I just wanted to look at the shape of that radio and the shape of this kind of window, right, on that church. It's the same kind of shape, right? And it has, and I like the way these speaker designs on all of these just remind me of the patterns that we see on the churches. And so I saw this one again. It has, right, it just looks like a little mini church. Nice solidly built wood, and then speakers that look like this, right? Vertical speakers, nice and narrow. right? And then this I liked because it's like the reverse of the Venetian tripartite window design. It's the reverse, two thick ones and a skinny one in the middle, right? And I like this. The dial has a sort of Ouija board planchette kind of look, doesn't it? Um, so the reverse of that kind of style. But so if the way I think about these churches and a lot of these old buildings, I don't think that there was ever glass in them. I think that's us, right? The glasswork and stuff. I think these were open spaces that were, modulating the frequencies or controlling them in whatever way, the harmonics or whatever. All right. And so I found these two radios. Look at these beauties, right? I love this thing, but they're creepy looking too. I don't know. They look a little creepy to me, like especially this one with the legs. It's almost like a robot already in 1925 or whenever that thing was built. But I wanted to showcase how it looks compared to this church. This was one in Asheville, and it was amazing to me because the street level where the front door is, which is also off the ground, is way up here. So all of this is below, right? This is all, and there was this alley here, so all of this was dug out, right? And then I think about it compared to like this, right? Who knows? That could be just the top part, right? And everything underneath, the ground here could be this part, I don't, that's the way I think about these things, right? Here's another one on legs. And this one, bring your your mind control with you. The brainwashing or whatever those, I joke about saying mind controlling because who knows what those frequencies were doing. I mean, the word harmony has its it means what it means for a reason, so maybe they were creating a harmony on this plane or planet, or however you view the world that we live in. Maybe that's what they were doing. I don't know. I don't think we're really ever going to know. That I just as a picture of this. I wanted to see if I could find one that matched this grid, but looking through a few pages, and I was hipped to DuckDuckGo search engine. Thanks again, Mary. So I was using that after scrolling through quite a few pages, and I didn't see one. I just decided to move on. All right, so that's my little visual presentation about the way that the shapes of these radios, the designs, the patterns, the speakers, right, and the churches. I just was really struck. Again, I'm not finding any coincidences. There are no coincidences in Mud City. And so I said, let me find out about the history of the radio. And I started to do it. I started to read through. I got about 5 minutes in, and I started to look at the time of the day, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to set my timer and go, and we're going to get to what we get to. So the early history of the radio is the history of technology that produces and uses radio instruments that use radio waves, right? Okay, what the heck is a radio wave, right? I don't know. I'm dumb. I'm very dumb. I kind of believe these things, but I don't know the history or the science behind them. I always work by intuition. Look at those. See? Those are the patterns on the bricks. Wow. All right, see? The bricks are putting out radio waves. I don't know. No coincidences. Radio waves are the type of electromagnetic radiation with wavelengths in the electromagnetic spectrum longer than infrared light. See, I can't get too deep into the science or anything. I'm not going to get crazy about it because I don't understand it. I was a poor student in high school. I didn't really graduate, and but I'm well read. I like to read, and I'm curious about a lot of things, and consider myself reasonably intelligent. Again, highlight the word reasonably. So yeah, I'm not going to get into it. 300, what was that, gigahertz? The corresponding wavelength is 1 millimeter. So we're just going to breeze through this because I don't want to take up all of my timer on it. Radio waves are generated artificially by transmitters, right? And this is what we're, at least the story as it's presenting itself to me makes me want to think these churches and old buildings like them were transmitters, right? Received by radio receivers, right? And the receivers, like the antennas that we see all over the place, right? And people aren't completely strangers to the idea of what, radio technology is, right? We've all had radios in our lives. And it's crazy to think, in these younger generations, like the wireless and, you know, antennas are no longer what they used to be. Cars don't have antennas anymore. Yeah. All right. So to prevent interference between different users, artificial generation and use of radio waves is strictly regulated by law. Yeah, of course it is. I should I see if I want to go to where I want to go is I want to look at what frequency does the human brain operate at. All right. Oh, see, like I said, I went ahead. I was reading when I was reading in to this one. Nikola Tesla's name never sort of appears. So I was like, well, I could swear I heard Tesla was involved. So I Googled that real quick, or DuckDuckGo'd it now, I guess. And but again, I decided to start fresh and just go live with it, right? Let's do this thing together. But I want to go. What free? Pardon if I'm spelling stuff wrong. Human brain. I guess that would be a myth, right? See, dumb. I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. Oh, good. I was right. Emit is the right word. Closer to 10 to 100 cycles per second. I don't know quite what that means. Beta waves, 13 to 38 hertz, occur when we are actively thinking. Delta waves occur during sleep. Alpha waves, theta waves, theta, that's that Scientology, right? That's what they use, are associated with sleep, deep relaxation, like hypnotic relaxation, and visualization. Alpha waves occur when we're relaxed. Gamma brain waves are involved in higher mental activity and consolidation of information. Interesting. Okay, so now let's figure out how this. Wait a minute, what happened? Here we go. So our brains are transmitters, right? Is this what I'm guessing? Right? I'm getting. Wait a minute, didn't I have? Did I go? Oh, I went forward. All right. Right, are generated artificially by transmitters. So our brains are transmitters, receiving radio, emitting radio waves, right? And that hertz frequencies, and they labeled them, right? So that's what's happening. And so there's no way you can't tell me that all these are, I'm going to call, for lack of a better understanding, I'm going to call our waves organic, right? And there's no way, if our brains are emitting organic waves, then any of this other stuff that's out there, is interfering with those. I don't care in what degree they are, and I don't think it's in any good way. To think that all of this, technology and radio waves, and I know there are channels out there who cover this stuff in depth, and I haven't, but so I should see. I talk myself into a corner. I want to say I'd love to watch everything. I just can't, so I'm teaching myself about these ideas, and so hopefully some of you out there have no idea about them, and we're doing this stuff together. So, okay, I lost my place. To prevent interference between the artificial generation and radio waves is strictly regulated by law. Who controls those laws, right? The people who are making the signals. Duh. Just makes no sense. Coordinated by an international body called the International Telecommunications Union, which defines radio waves as electromagnetic waves of frequency arbitrarily lower than 3,000 gigahertz. Arbitrarily. It's an interesting word, arbitrarily. The radio spectrum is divided into a number of radio bands on the basis of frequency, right? And so I just think these churches and other buildings like them were emitting these frequencies, and that's I didn't need to discover mud flood to understand that we were being controlled this way. Yeah. And so this, what is this? What are we now, an 8G? Yeah, all this stuff coming out. It's ridiculous. And the worst part is that it's just allowed to happen. It's just allowed to happen. All right, so let's see. Let's get back to the radio now. I think my point is proven there enough. Oh, I went too far back. Okay. So let's look at, let's see what the table of contents here has for us. Summary, invention, 19th century, Marconi. There was a book out there, I think it was called Thunderstruck. Eric Larson, one of his historical ones. He did that White City as well, about H.H. Holmes and the World's Fair. There seems to be a lot of interest out there in the community about the World's Fairs. Interesting read if you haven't read that. I had a good time reading it. And he also had one about this Marconi wireless telegraph and boats and things. It was also a good read. So these are the people, right? Wavelength versus frequency. All right, so let's see what we're getting into here. Right, the idea of wireless communication predates the discovery of radio with experiments in wireless telegraphy via inductive and capacitive induction and transmission through the ground, water, and even train tracks from the 1930s on. And I touched on it a little bit at one of the videos, that the first telegraph message came into the Montclair station at B&L Railroad, and it was something like, what hath we wrought, or something. I can't believe I blew it and didn't mention that in the video, and now I can't remember it verbatim. But it was something like that. It was like, what hath we wrought? What hath God wrought? Something like that. Which I thought was a very interesting, again, which is, when I think about what's going to go in a video, and then when I actually cut it, there are things that I forget. And there are things in videos that I mentioned that I hadn't thought of, which is, the fun part of it. So yeah, they were using this stuff far back, at least further than you would think if you were, and again, I loved these man on the street interviews, and they interviewed, and I don't want to pick on any age group or anything like that, but man, the examples that are being made of the millennials and the younger generations, and I see what's going on in the schools with my son who's 9, it's unbelievable. And so if you were to ask any of them about the history, they wouldn't even know what a radio was, right? Because who needs a radio? But if we don't understand this aspect of our past and the way they introduced these technologies, we'll never be able to get over it. I think it's, we're looking at the bottom, we're looking up from the bottom of a well, no doubt about it. In terms of this technology and the way they use it to control us. So let's see, where was I? Sorry, guys, just ranting. This is a rant one, I guess. Through train tracks. James Clerk Maxwell showed in theoretical and mathematical form in 1864 that electromagnetic waves could propagate through free space. Let's see, it is likely that the first time intentional transmission of a signal by means of electromagnetic waves was performed in an experiment by David Edward Hughes around 1880, although it was considered to be induction at the time. All right, Hertz comes now. Hertz is the one whose name is attached, right? He comes in 1888. Heinrich Rudolf Hertz, German. The Germans are going to play a big part as Mud City goes on. So Hertz was able to conclusively prove transmitted airborne electromagnetic waves in an experiment confirming Maxwell's theory of electromagnetism. All right, so Maxwell, when was he? Where was he? He was here, 64, so it takes 20 plus years. But I guess they've proven it to their scientific specifications, They've written it down and observed it enough that they call this proof, right? Electromagnetism. And look at that. That's a cool lightning strike. Let's find out about electromagnetism a little bit. right? And here are those patterns again coming up from the bricks. The way we just okay. Electromagnetism is a branch of physics involving the study of the electromagnetic force, a type of physical interaction that occurs between electrically charged particles. The electromagnetic force usually exhibits electromagnetic fields, such as electric fields, magnetic fields, and light, and is one of the four fundamental interactions in nature. What are the other three? Okay, let's find out about fundamental interactions. This list of... Okay, yeah, why am I reading that? Okay. In physics, again, with the physics, what do they call physics? Some made-up shit. Let's see, okay. We can't explain stuff, so let's make it up. There's a natural science that studies matter and its motion and behavior through space and time. Interesting. It is. I mean, again, I like to joke because a long time ago I decided that just about everything that we're, we only know what they tell us, and they only tell us what they know, right? And meaning that they're just making observations themselves and creating this language, and through their observations and stuff. Sorry, I just got a little distracted there. All right. And again, horrible math student. I didn't graduate high school because of my failure to stay awake during Algebra 2. And so, yeah, I just don't get any of this, right? I always feel like whenever science is involved, and I like to throw out movie references. I grew up loving movies. I still like movies today, even though I know what they're, and even more so because I know what they're doing. They make it, in a weird way, they're almost more fun now. But Close Encounters of the Third Kind was one of my favorite movies, and there's a scene where Richard Dreyfuss's character is trying to explain fractions to his son, and the son just looks at him, and he asks him about like the difference between a whole and 2/3 or something like this, and he says, "But that's a fraction. I don't get fractions." And that's the way I feel about science. Most of this like heavy science, like physics and stuff like this. That's science. I just don't get science. Each of the fundamental interactions can be described mathematically as a field. All right, so there are four, is that what they're telling me? There are four mathematical fields. The gravitational force is attributed to the curvature of space-time. All right, again, see, it's tough for me to really want to read this stuff because I don't know how much, like I say, I believe they kind of just make it up as they go along, and, because they tell us it's true doesn't make anything true, the way I look at it. Okay. So we've delved a little bit into that. I'm not as crazy about going in that direction. There are other directions to go because we want to talk more about the radio waves. So let's find out about electromagnetic fields, right? How did I start? I think I lost. Did I lose this page? Because I got off, see? Tangents. Fundamental forces of nature, gravitation, weak interaction, and strong interaction. The field can be viewed as a combination of an electric field and a magnetic field. So electromagnetic, right? Duh. The electric field is produced by stationary charges and the magnetic field by moving charges. These two are often described as the sources of the field. It's just boring me. I don't know. Because I just can't comprehend it, really. I don't. All right, let's continue on. I'm more of a people's person anyway. We're talking. So I'm just, this is, again, everyone and I'm sure there are many of you out there because I know channels actually do way better than me at this. They actually do hard research and put out well thought out presentations, and I just like to fly by the seat of my pants. After the discovery of these Hertzian waves of electromagnetism, right, it would take 20 years for the term radio. Many scientists and inventors experimented with wireless transmission. Maxwell's theory of electromagnetic transmission, where did that go? Wait a minute. So Maxwell's theory showing that light and Hertzian electromagnetic waves were the same phenomena at different wavelengths led Max Orwellian scientists such as John Perry, Frederick Thomas Troughton, and Alexander Trotter to assume they would be analogous to optical signaling, and the Serbian-American engineer, oh, here's Tesla in this one, he's not in the other article, to consider them relatively useless for communication since light could not transmit further than... All right, so they have a little bit of a disagreement here about what these electromagnetic waves could do. Here comes Marconi's name. The wireless. So they build these machines to tap into these electromagnetic waves that are present. And Marconi builds his radio telegraphy machine, sending Morse code and things like that. And they, okay, but where does it come in now? Over several years, starting in 1894, the Italian inventor Guglielmo Marconi built the first complete commercially successful wireless telegraphy system based on airborne Hertzian waves. Let's move ahead a little bit. Meaning and usage of the word radio developed in parallel with developments within the field of communications that can be seen to have three distinct phases: electromagnetic waves and experimentation, wireless communication and technical development, and radio broadcasting and commercialization. In an 1864 presentation, going back, James Clerk Maxwell proposed his theories of electromagnetic. Okay. Heinrich Hertz would be the radio spectrum. Many individuals, inventors, engineers, developers, and businessmen constructed systems based on their own understanding of these and other phenomena, some predating Maxwell and Hertz's discoveries. See, some who's predating them, right? David Hughes noticed that sparks could be heard in a telephone receiver. Okay, so now we're talking Alexander Graham Bell. He presented... I'm guessing he presented what the modern telephone in 1880 as it would be. Microphones. Edison came across electromagnetic phenomena while experimenting with a telegraph in Menlo Park. He referred to his as... Oh, wow, I didn't get anywhere, see? All right, well... Let's just bring those pictures back real quick. So that's what happens. So I'm giving myself a half an hour with this kind of topic. I'm trying to have a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun listening. You know, just a history of how they're doing it. And I just wanted to bring this correlation to the types of buildings the churches are and the way these early radios worked. And, you know, perhaps they serve very different purposes, but I think their function, or their form rather, is being so similar that their functions couldn't be too far off. Right? So whatever frequency, harmonics, you know, magnetic energy that these churches were putting out, there was come on now. This one I thought had that, maybe in a different angle. It has a great magnetic presence on it, but apparently not in this picture. I took so many pictures of it. I don't know which one I uploaded. So I was hoping to get a demonstration there. And had I known that I was going to go electromagnetic that way, I would have pulled one up to have at the ready. But, you know, if you watch my videos, you've seen it. I've shown it enough. And again, it just amazes me, this connection. You know, at least this general idea that this is just the top and the rest could be underneath, and that these churches could be the same. Yeah, that's the top, and whatever's underneath here is the rest of that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. I thought that was a lot of fun. I had a good time with this one. There's so much to come. I've got my 3s. I'm definitely going to work on that this week. And Mary's going to help me out. And I have another subscriber friend, Rob, who went with his drone and took aerial footage of the gargoyles or whatever they are on top of that church down on Charles Street. So I'm looking forward to, and I took more pictures. I noticed in that one, um, the video I did where I took that picture of the alley and that writing is in there. That's the only picture I took of that at that time. But I noticed the picture cuts off writing. There's more to be seen. So I went back and I took a few more pictures and I got all that writing. So I have some loose endish kind of things to tie up in a video this week as well. And then I think I'm going to start in on Mud City next week. I got a few ideas to work through here, and then season 2 maybe next week. So anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. If you like what's going on over here, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope everyone has an amazing day. I know I'm going to do my best to have a great day. And so until the next one, cheers.